Hello, I am live. Haha. Doctor Who t-shirt finally back on, which means only one thing. We've got another live stream review of Doctor Who Series 11, the penultimate episode. It Takes You Away. Oh gosh, we're on to episode 9. Just now 6 more days away until the finale. God. And I would never ever say this right now, but it's the 3rd of December, and I've not got any Christmas decorations up yet. So next week will probably be the day where you'll see a lot more tinsel and a lot more Christmassy stuff around my house. So yeah. So I'm gonna wait for a few more people, and then we're gonna get into the episode It Takes You Away, which I had the weirdest dream that when I saw that title in the episode, I was like thinking, hang on, it reminded me of all the songs that had "It Takes You Away this year, it turns you my tears." Like it just reminded me of last Christmas. It really did. So that line, "It takes you away," it just reminded me so much of that song, and I knew it would have probably had any Christmas relations to the episode, but there you go. Yeah, I just literally had so much contradiction to this weird title. It Takes You Away. Like no offense, I do like the title. It's a good song title, but for Doctor Who episode though, it's not what I would call as a title that intrigues me. It's something that is just made up. It's something that's just there just to intrigue people. But for me, it just didn't intrigue me at all. So that was probably my only first negative. I only had the thought of this episode. And plus, going into this episode, having a very abandoned house, and then you've got this girl who needs help. It's just like the basic of basic storylines that you could possibly tell. Like you're on a stranded, like say, country in the middle of Norway, which I do like the setting of Norway. It has a very Norwegian type creepiness, which I was quite surprised by. But just judge it by the synopsis and judge it by the overall surroundings. Like I've watched Doctor Who episodes just landing in like really abandoned and creepy places, and you just see a house with a girl inside who needs help. It's like so generic, that storyline. I couldn't really see how this episode could be any different. And yet I was wrong. I was wrong on so many levels. And so yes, I really just don't know what to make of it. This episode as a whole, let me just tell you my initial thoughts of the episode, although I'm waiting for people to join. But you could possibly watch this at the end of when I finished off the live stream. You could probably go back and watch all what I personally think about it, because I had to have about 3 or 4 rewatches of this episode, and I know I'm here doing the live stream. I've had no time whatsoever to have at least a day off. Last week was pretty mental for me. After when I did my live stream on the Witchfinders, then I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days in work all on my own. So because all my other colleagues were ill, and I had to take over the kitchen where I was working. And yeah, this last 5 days has just been completely mental for me, because I've not had any time to speak about Doctor Who, not even having the time to watch Doctor Who, let alone even review it. So it's been quite a difficult week for me, but I'm glad I've got myself a day off today to review It Takes You Away. And like I said, I'm not keen on the song title, but it did give us like that sense that this blind character, Hannah, was desperately in need of help because her dad was lost, and we obviously thought that we need to search for this missing child's dad. But obviously, when we come to probably the halfway mark of the episode, he seems to be all right in the other house. But what I mean by the other house is that it's the same house but in a different world. Like I said, I'm going to get onto it straight. I'm going to get onto all of the confusing notes, which I have a little bit of a when I watched this for the first time, the whole thing about having two different worlds was just a bit weird for me. I'm going to get onto it very, very shortly, but I just found it very, very, how can I put it? Confusing and yet bizarring in a way. That's the only kind of adjectives I can pretty much say about this episode. It was very bizarre. I mean, straight away we landed in Norway, where the Doctor, Yaz, Ryan, and Graham find this abandoned home that's just been barricaded up, and I think, hang on, somebody must be in there trying not to escape, or perhaps something else has happened, and we hear strange noises from the woods, and I obviously think, oh, it's a creature from the woods. It's going to attack the person who's inside the house, all locked up. So I can explain, so I can understand why all the doors and all the windows were barricaded up, because just to keep that child inside. And it was really interesting to have that character as a blind character, and knowingly enough, it can touch upon really nice feelings because, you know, I don't really want to get into like contradicting and being quite offensive, because right here in this day and age, you have people who are blind and yet they try and get into acting and they try to get into drama performances, and they always like to be what they want. So necessarily enough, with Doctor Who, they always find a good opportunity for the disabled, and for finding somebody who has a disability, like having a disability of blindness, and seeing how she performed really well, even though that she was blind. She performed really well, and she aided pretty much throughout the episode because she was so intelligent in some moments where I was like thinking, how the hell do you not know that's a map? Like, how do you know where Ryan was going to come through the door and then smash him? I mean, honestly, when I saw that Ryan was basically smashed through the door, and I literally, oh shit! Like, I don't think a child can do that, right? But I think she was more determined to slam the door in front of Ryan and completely knock him out cold. I thought that was a good moment for her, and even to the point where she went into the like I said, the opposite world or the different dimension world. It kind of gave me the feeling that she would automatically recognize her mum without even her seeing it, just by feeling and touching. And if it doesn't feel like the same person, she knows for a fact that it's not her mum. It's not, her real mother who just died. So then again, it's just very, very interesting to have a character who's blind and seeing how she can cope with how everything's all around her. She can't really feel, she can't really see everything, but she can feel everything. Like I saw most of the time when she was walking through the dark anti-zone, she was feeling everything, and then she was like telling Ryan, like, what can you see? And just, all of that amazing stuff with Ryan. I thought Ryan also had a really good episode, improving his life and confidence skills and getting along with Hannah, although both of them just didn't really like each other. But I did like their development throughout the story as both of them gained their trust and then soon to like each other. So that was also another great moment that I thought was a great moment for Ryan. So yeah, again, the creepy deserted forest, as well as with the beautiful landscape, with also like a monstrous spine-chilling vibe. It just really hooked me up straight away, because I always like those types of surroundings, those creepy vibes. Like for me, when I go on holiday, when I go to places like the Lake District or to, I don't know, South Yorkshire or Wales, for instance, those types of places, or the Peak District, those are the types of places where you have many, like, say, forest or woods, and you have beautiful landscapes. But in this Doctor Who episode, you feel like that something's wrong, something's weird, something's bizarre. It's like this monstrous type spine chilling feeling to it. And I love that. I'll absolutely love that. One thing I also found that was very unusual, and I don't know if the Doctor made this up in the first episode. You know of the fact that when Jodie Whittaker made her sonic screwdriver, I didn't know for the fact that the sonic screwdriver could do wood in this episode. I literally had the feeling like, how could it do wood? It doesn't make sense. But then again, I saw the bolts at the end, so maybe it did the bolts, but not the wood itself. So that's probably what, I kind of got the feeling that the sonic screwdriver did wood for, honestly. But no, I just felt that it just did wood, and then that was it. We just slightly move the camera this way. So yeah, the great additions with the creaking sound effects build up the suspension really well. I literally thought that if they added more of those creaking elements, like the one episode for me that had a lot of creakiness, and it was back in series 10 called Knock Knock. That for me was a creepy episode. And having those creaky sound effects could really help, the episode improve to building the horror suspense. Because I automatically knew that many people said on Twitter that this was going to be something like a horror movie in a way. It's like Doctor Who meets horror in a way. Like it had the perfect setting, the music was spot on from Zaguna Canola, but also it definitely had that type of horror type feeling that something's going to emerge from the woods and get the Doctor and Hannah. And so I literally had real trembling feelings that there is something in the woods, really creepy, really frightening. And then soon as Ryan goes out to check around the area, he finds that there's a little bit of cable leading to a speaker that's making all of the monstrous sounds. And I think, hang on, so why is that there? I was literally a bit puzzled. Like, did the dad planted that speaker there just to scare the child to not go outside? I literally had feelings that that's bad parenting, surely. I mean, come on, you wouldn't put a speaker in front of your own child and then have them being scared to not ever go outside and be scared and frightened forever just by having that speaker outside. That's bad parenting, I must say. But it did lead up to like perhaps there isn't a monster in the woods. Maybe we thought at the beginning of the episode, we literally think that there was going to be something emerging from the woods that was going to attack the Doctor and the rest of the gang. But no, it just didn't happen. And either that was a great twist for some people, or people just felt it was another wasted opportunity. Because when Doctor Who does these types of plot twists, you automatically know that, all right, it can't be a monster in the woods. It could be a bear or two, but bears aren't scary enough. And so I love the elements with the mirror, and I love how Graham and Ryan go to mirrors. Like, we'd realize, yes, if like we would soon realize if we were vampires, we saw a reflection. It's like, are they vampires? Like what's going on with the mirror? I like how, like, wait, hang on, how can they not see each other? Don't tell me Ryan and Graham have just turned into vampires all of a sudden. And yet, automatically, I literally just think, like, am I a vampire? I mean, surely enough, I would be a vampire if I can't see my own reflection. So I literally had that vibe of the vampires haunting the mirrors. But no, there were no vampires inside. But I was literally fascinated on how that mirror couldn't reflect Graham and Ryan, but sooner or later, when the Doctor sonicked it up, it just went back to being a normal mirror. But then, as soon as the high pitched voice, like the high pitched sound, I think it was like a high pitching sound that made the mirror go back to not being a mirror in a way. I'd like to say like a dimensional portal, which I am going to say right now. I'll just call it a dimensional portal for honestly. And so, yeah, I thought Graham had a phenomenal episode. He was kind and cunning and funny at the beginning. Like, all right, I'm not gonna let it, steal my credit cards for all of a sudden. Or, like Graham carries around the cheese and pickle sardines or sandwiches. I love that because it's like all the time that he's always carried these sandwiches. So why has he not ever said that in the first place? Like, if he does get a little bit peckish, which Graham sometimes does get a big peckish. So yeah, I mean, I just love that. I mean, really good comedy and really sarcastic and humorous moments from Bradley Walsh. He's just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And then as you see the funny and characteristic moments from him, then you see how his reaction is to find Grace, and for him to have the moments with Grace and realize that this is unfair. Like, you can't be here. And I was like thinking to myself, wait, hang on, what's going on here? How is Grace here? How the hell is Grace here? That's not possible. I was literally thinking, no. I was thinking to myself, don't tell me what Chris Chibnall has done. He's deliberately copied what Stephen Moffat did in Hell Bent. bring in a companion or bring in somebody back from the dead just because, oh, I just miss Grace so much. So why don't we actually bring Grace back? And then maybe people will be more emotionally, he was going to force Grace to go back into the TARDIS with Graham, Ryan, and Yaz and the Doctor. I was actually thinking, oh, fuck no, don't do this to me, Chip. No, do not fucking do this. Do not do this, because it is going to be the literally response, the same recurring moment where Stephen Moffat decided, oh, yeah, I mean, people felt sorry for Clara when she died, so why don't let's bring her back? Let's bring her back and like have this all amazing, brilliant fan rank about Clara being, oh, how Clara's amazing. Oh wow, what a wonderful team, Capaldi and Clara, and I just didn't want that to happen again. If Christian literally just went to the point of just bringing Grace back just for the sake of it, I mean, I would just have completely lost faith in Christian. Like he's really just at least had the feeling that he was going to repeat what Moffat did back in series 9. I was literally thinking, oh no, not this again, not this again. But no. I was actually relieved that he didn't go down that route that Moffat did back in series 9. But I was literally on the edge of my seat just thinking, it can't be her. It literally just can't be her. But no, I think it was weird. Like, too weird for me to understand. And like, I'm trying to think. And yeah, at the end, the reveal that the whole world itself, a conscious universe, is controlled by a frog. I was like literally thinking, oh my god, it's Kermit's lost cousin. Oh my god, it's Kermit's friend. Oh, I mean, if Kermit was in Doctor Who, this episode would just get downhill. Oh Jesus! No, if Kermit did turn up in this episode and then said, "Hello, friends," like that's a terrible Kermit impression. Just stop, Alex. Just stop. I'm actually no. The thing is about this episode, it just felt so weird that it just didn't make sense because that was the point. This episode just made you feel like so confused and so weird. Like it just doesn't make any sense. But yes, it does. It's supposed to be weird. Go with it. And like I was just like trying to get my head around like what the whole point was about the whole frog situation with having Grace's voice being animated. And I've got to admit, I did like the design of the frog because of the way that its mouth just didn't match with what Grace was saying. It just felt a bit out of sync. And plus, the whole reveal about the frog being the whole sense of the conscious universe, because we all knew that what was it? The solitaire being like a myth, a legend, just being a conscience, like an energy of some sort, like controlling a world like this. I'm gonna get into much bigger detail, but I was like literally thinking that reveal of the frog was just an utter missed opportunity because I was expecting to have at least like maybe a surprising character returning in that seat instead of the frog. It could have been something else other than that frog. So it just really just felt like a disappointment. Like, knowingly enough that this episode could have been so much better if they had a new character or a returning character returning in that very, very seat and facing face to face with Jodie Whittaker, as Jodie Whittaker said goodbye to it. It just felt really weird saying goodbye to a universe that is a frog. I mean, what I would have liked was to have a new character that we haven't really seen, but hints or teases us to a character that they used to be back in, like, say, the classic series or the modern series. Let's just have a character that is brand new, still relatively new, but has some relations or some teasing hints to be a certain surprising character that we hardly have touched upon in the modern or the classic series of Doctor Who. That would have been a lot better, and yet it would probably been a lot more interesting and a lot more, would have made sense more, because I'm trying to think of like the whole point of like the Doctor saying farewell to the universe, like somebody or like the Matrix. It kind of felt like the Matrix for some reason. What I would have wanted instead of in that chair was that frog. I would have loved to have Omega, because remember the three Doctors where you had matter and antimatter, the complete opposites of matter itself. And that's what the anti-zone felt like. It felt like antimatter. And so this episode would have felt perfect for Omega. Wouldn't you agree? Because clearly, in that chair, what could have been a chair could have been a throne. It could have been Omega in that seat, and the Doctor could be saying, like, say, farewell to Omega, and like say, "I know you want to be with me. I know you want to be my friend. We are friends, but you have to let me go." And it's like, has Omega probably turned good for once? Is this the good version of Omega? I mean, that would have made a much better episode and probably would have made a lot more sense because he would have controlled the laws of time, the laws of creating worlds, of having your own reality, then having this antimatter slash anti zone, and then having a completely opposite slash parallel universe type world, which it just felt more like that I touched upon, like the Rise of the Cybermen slash the Age of Steel type episode, where the Doctor, Rose, and Mickey landed in a parallel universe where everything looks the same but is a little bit different. Where obviously everything may look the same, everything is quite in opposite mirrored reflection view. But also you did have some characters coming back from the dead, such as Grace and also Eric's wife, which I also thought that was quite neat and quite unusual, which I think definitely would have made a lot more sense if Omega controlled this entire conscious universe. That would have been a whole lot better than just a stupid frog just controlling the universe or so or something or another. I mean, that would have been a whole better episode, and I could have given this episode a much bigger rating if Omega did return. I mean, that sort of was a missed opportunity, honestly. And so, yeah, see what else did I put on my list? Yeah, I did speak about Ryan and Hannah's despising relationship. Like, it was the whole little bit about Ryan saying, "Oh, I know that maybe your dad's probably done a run or probably just left you," and then Yaz was like, "Ryan, like, sorry." It's like what my dad did back when I was little. And so I loved that little bit where Rai was touching upon his own feelings of what might have happened to Hannah's dad instead of what might have happened when the Doctor, Graham, and Yaz were kind of assuming what's probably happened to her dad was probably that maybe he went off to work and then got lost, or perhaps something's just really happened to him. And just Ryan just came out with the obvious, assumption that he just did a runner and just left you for good. So, and then, I kind of got the feeling that like that was what Ryan's dad did. That's what Ryan's dad did. And like I was like feeling slightly very, very sorry for Ryan because you had that moment for him where he did say that, he's not good with kids and, he was speaking to Yaz, like, how have you got so good with kids? Like, I've trained, you have to reinforce what makes them safe. And it's like, Yaz has a really good knowledge of how to keep people safe. And I like that. But just teaching Ryan a few little nips and tricks or tips about, how to look after children a bit better and to know how to reinforce them to be safe. And I thought when the middle section turned around where Hannah was locked away by Ryan and then Ryan checked around all of the defenses, Hannah slammed the door in front of Ryan, which I felt, oh shit, like she's turning heel here. And what I mean by turning heel is that you've got a face turn where an evil character becomes good, and you've got a heel turn where a good character becomes a bad character. And I literally thought that Hannah took a heel turn right there because you don't really know whose side is whoever's on. And I literally had the feeling that Hannah was probably on the wrong side and like she's gone into this portal without even Ryan's help or assistance. So it kind of feels like that Ryan's kind of let her down because she's gone into the portal and Ryan's just completely been blacked out onto the floor. So I love the little, it's like the relationship between both of them. I don't really think it was like a powerful relationship, but it was one of where two didn't like each other, but sooner or later became like good friends in a way. And even if Ryan didn't guide Hannah to the end of the other portal, then I don't know what would happen to Hannah or what would have happened to Ryan if they didn't really stick together. So again, some good moments between those two characters. And so yeah, I thought the whole bit where Yaz and the Doctor and Graham, when they went inside the portal, or the dimensional portal they found such of a creepy and so dark and misty and eerie cavern. And I've got to say, I love the look of that cavern. It just looked amazing. What would have been great, I know that they had flesh-eating moths, which I got to admit, I did like the idea of the flesh-eating moths, but I think it was just the design, and I think it was just the overall purpose of those moths. Like, they don't kill you when you've got clothes on, but when you move, they eat your flesh. And I thought it was a very sinister but quite a gruesome moment where they were just eating that rat, and then one of them just came out from his eye. I was like, oh gosh, that doesn't look good. That just looks too grim for me. And so yeah, I'd hate to have any flesh-eating moths in my house. Thank you very much. But I've got to admit though that although the flesh-eating moths did serve a purpose and they were frankly quite good in a way, but what would have been amazing, or what would have been even better in this episode, if we had the weeping angels in that dark, misty, and eerie kind of atmospheric cavern. If we had the weeping angels stalking in that anti-zone, that would have made one hell of an episode. I mean, the fact that maybe Omega could be controlling the conscious universe and also maybe this anti-zone or antimatter world, but having the weeping angels to exist inside that anti-zone where the universe is threatened, that would have made so much better of a plot twist to have the weeping angels returning in an episode like that where the setting was just pinpoint perfect for them. Like when probably the Doctor, Ryan, Yaz, and Greer went through the portal, they could have like seen a weeping angel, and the Doctor was like, "Just keep moving, do not blink, do not take your eye off the weeping angel." Like that would have been a whole lot better, and I think fans would have loved the weeping angels to return. I mean, I honestly would do, because it's like, how long has it been since we've last seen the weeping angels? It's like it's been, God knows, 6 years or 8 years since we've last seen the Weeping Angels. Like, that would have made a whole better episode than just those flesh-eating moths. I mean, maybe with the extra flesh-eating moths as well as with the Weeping Angels, that anti-zone could have been like a death zone almost. So I really like that a lot. But no, I just thought that they missed like an opportunity with not having the Weeping Angels in that type of setting. Like that would have made probably one of the best episodes to have that type of setting and have, because I would have probably understand why the Weeping Angels are there, because they are a threat to the universe, and perhaps Omega might have had the power to project all those evil beings or being in the anti-zone, and perhaps, I don't know, but I'm just trying to think that let's just forget the whole thing about the reveal of the frog, because I thought that was just an absolute shambles of a disappointment of an ending. But just let's imagine if Omega was in that situation, controlling the conscious universe, controlling the solid tract. Let's imagine if Omega was the center of all of this. That would have been for me probably the best episode that you could possibly imagine. I mean, I I really miss Omega, and to have the fact that he could possibly return in this episode to control this universe. This episode was like perfect for Omega. So yeah, there was like loads of missed opportunities that they've missed out here, and they could have done so much better. But I didn't really think that Christian Bale wanted to frighten or scare the viewers with the Weeping Angels, or to perhaps have a surprising character that maybe somebody may not warm up to, because maybe he could come into a new outfit, Omega, and maybe may not be as recognizable to many fans as we probably would have thought, and it wouldn't be as warmly as welcome if we did see Omega returning. So maybe Christian Bale just didn't want to risk it with having such old and so, evil kind of, enemies of the Doctors returning in this episode. Would have made the whole episode a whole lot scarier. But then again, this episode was supposed to be a whole lot scarier because of the whole horror type spine chilling, excuse me, because of the whole horror and spine chilling vibe to this episode that the whole anti-zone brought. so eerie and so mysterious and nostalgic. It would have been a whole lot better if those little bits were added to that scene. It would have made the whole sort of the middle part of where they went through the anti-zone with that character, Robbins. Such a weird character, I must admit. He's such a weird and kind of a deluded character with probably the most basic amount of language, the most basic and somewhat quite simple language to understand, because in a way I couldn't understand a freaking word he said, and so I had to have subtitles on to really understand what he was actually saying. And it was like in some moments where he was saying turbulent, turbulent. I was like thinking, what? What does turbulent mean? Oh, he means the sonic screwdriver because he was referring to the tube look or the tube shape. And I was like thinking, oh, he wants a sonic screwdriver. It's like turbulent, no trade. Just, obviously it was trade. Like he was trading, like say, if you trade your sonic screwdriver, I could give you information. It just works like that. Like he just had the most basic, and the voice of him was just so eerie and like quite disturbing for me, because I literally saw his look and thought, oh crap, who's this? Like, what's this guy just doing here? Like, how did he even get here? Like, since he did reveal that the whole place was an anti-zone, and the dog was like, how did you get into this, Robbins? I was like, I live here all my life. Like, maybe he's been a threat to the universe, but I can't see him being a threat unless he's been an alien scavenger, which I actually thought that he was type of a scavenger that travel like that traveled the universe, almost like a space or like an alien scavenger trying to search for food or search for valuable items in search for trade and luxury. I literally thought that he was sort of a evil and quite a very tongue-twisted character, that he could be the villain in this episode. But actually, no, he just turned out to be a real, like say, an alien side character, you could call it. And yet we actually found out that he pretty much died halfway through the episode. So he only had sort of like a few, like say 10 minutes on screen, and then he got killed by the moths, which kind of gave the Doctor, Graham, and Yaz a chance to escape and to exit through the next portal, which soon they find out that it's not their world that they expect. It's not the same world that they came out of before. It's a completely different universe. And having the whole, like, for me, this episode had 3 views and 3 different ways you can look at this episode from. You had the beginning little setting where you had the creepiness and the abandoned house type feel to it, with the spine-chilling monster outside, which probably wasn't even a monster anyway because of the speakers. And then we had the anti-zone having a very, very threatening, a very dangerous type feeling, quite eerie, quite misty, and quite unusual and quite difficult to get around the place because it felt more like a maze, like Yas said. And then we had this other world, which everything may look the same, everything may look as peaceful or as happy as it can be. But then sooner or later, then they realize something is very, very wrong. And I like the fact that the Doctor tapped into some to the childhood reference of having different grannies. Like she had about 5 or 7 grandmas or grannies. I can't remember how many it was, but I think it was roughly around about 7 to 5, or wait, 7 to 6 grannies that she had. I know. I think it was like Granny 5 that mentioned about the Solly tract, and we learned a little bit more about the Doctor's family and like the Doctor's backstory behind the whole thing about having grannies and helping the Doctor get to sleep. So maybe that could have teased up into, like I say, I don't know, because I'm just trying to feel like that. Oh, oh, I've just had a brainstorm. I've just had a brainstorm. Oh my god. I think I have a brainstorm here. What? Guys, I think you might be thinking, what the hell are you thinking about? I've probably just had the greatest brainstorm of them all. Did you remember a character in Hell Bent where the Doctor went to the barn and then that woman came out? I was like thinking, who the hell is that character? when Peter Capaldi was the Doctor, and it was the series 9 finale, Hell Bent. That woman came through the door and into the barn, and Capaldi saw that woman. Do you think? Do you honestly think that that is Granny Five, or where the Doctor referenced that particular granny talking about the solid tract and helped her to get to sleep better? Because it reminded me so much of episodes like Hell Bent and Listen. Remember in Listen where the Doctor had trouble sleeping? That could have been maybe one bedtime story that Granny Five must have told the Doctor. And I'm probably thinking that that granny in Hell Bent must be Granny Five or something like that. I've just had a really good brainstorm. I literally had a feel like, who's Granny Five? Like, oh shit, like that, like could be her. Like, I literally sometimes when you watch episodes, you kind of think like, oh, what could be Granny Five? And then you're trying to think about all of the times when the Doctor's been on Gallifrey. Like, remember that woman from Hellbent? Like, oh, it could be her, maybe. Maybe it could be her. So yeah, I had a really, so yeah, I don't know actually, but knowing about the whole Doctor's past and the whole fact about she had about 5 or 6 to 7 grannies, and that particular granny touched upon the solid tract and what the solid tract meant. And I've got the I did do a lot of writing down of my well, little notes really, just to help me out and trying to help me explain what the solid tract was, because as it says here, the solid tract, it's a theory, a myth, a consciousness, an energy, and our reality can't work with the solid tract energy inside or at present. And so the basic ideas or laws of time are just ruined because the world isn't compatible with our world, because they're on the solid tract plane and exist an existence where the solid tract can exist until when more people arrive and the reality becomes too unstable, and soon the solid tract plane collapses itself. And so basically that world, that parallel world where Grace was alive and Trini and Eric's wife was alive, so that's basically the solid tract plane. Instead of just being another world, it's just another, like, say, a vehicle, like a solid tract plane. So you have our world, an anti-zone, and then you have this solid tract slash type conscience universe, a sentimental universe, which I thought was very, very confusing at first. But then as you slowly pick stuff out and pick stuff together, then it becomes a whole lot interesting and a whole lot more fascinating. Like, this entire episode was weird from the get-go, and I think I know the reason why that it's supposed to be weird, although some of it hardly makes sense. That's the point. Is some of it not supposed to make sense? That's the whole point of this episode. And so yeah, I thought just the whole idea of having a conscious universe, and then we saw Grace, and like I was like thinking that can't be Grace, and then sooner or later you saw moments like where Ryan's in help, and it's like, oh Grace, come on, we need to help Ryan. It's like, no. It's like, what do you mean no? Ryan's in danger. And like, that's probably what Graham noticed of all when he wanted to help out Ryan, who was stuck in the portal all on his own with the flesh-eating moths. And Grace was like, no. It's like, that's not the Grace. That is not Grace. Grace wouldn't do that. And like from the start, Yaz automatically know that she is not Grace at all. And I liked how Yaz kind of forced her to say that you are not Grace. You are not the Grace that we know and love. And then all of a sudden, I think it was Grace and Trini kind of pushed them back into the portals. Like, did I just really do that? It's like, I think you just did. It's like, that was pretty much like the way you're going to get out of this portal, to get out of this universe, is to probably like resist all temptation that all of this is a fake. All these people here that you've lost and come back from the dead, these people aren't real. Like, it was really difficult to see how Graham coped with not knowing that it wasn't Grace, but he was like trying to not accept it. He was like trying to think in his head, like, this could be Grace. This could be the Grace that I lost ages ago. But the Doctor knows for the fact that it isn't Grace at all. It is the image of Grace that has been projected in this universe. And I was really like worried, like, oh, is Graham not going to come back? is Graham not going to resist that being Grace? And then sooner or later, he got up and said, "You're faking assault." Yes, Graham. Yes, Graham. You know that's not her. And then all of a sudden, he was pushed back into the portal, like, ugh. Like I saw, like, that was like a good moment for Graham to resist all of the temptation that this is Grace, this is the real Grace. But no, it's not. It's somebody pretending to reenact the people who you've lost in your lives. And I thought it was really, interesting how Eric kind of coped with it as well. Like he felt really stupid and quite just stupid enough just to not accept that that is not his wife. And then sooner or later, then he understands. Then he gets pushed back into the portal, into the anti-zone, and then gets followed through with Hannah, Yaz, Graham, and Ryan to get back into the other world, while the Doctor is sent to this other world, is sent to this white kind of blank space. And I'm kind of wondering, like, what's at the end of this blank space? And I was like thinking, hang on, why the hell is is this kind of blank? It's like it must be like sort of where the solid track plane, like this is probably the heart of the solid track plane. And then sooner or later, I kind of thought when Jodie Whittaker said, why is there a fog in here? And I was like thinking, fog? And I was like, and then when I looked on it, more, and I saw a frog, like, oh, frog, not fog, frog, shit. And just, again, the whole thing about the frog, that was just missed opportunity. A missed opportunity that just wasn't executed well. I mean, I can get the fact that the solid tract is a shapeless thing that it can transform into any sort of being that it likes. So maybe it transformed into the frog because Grace liked the necklace that Graham gave her, and then the solid tract decided to become that frog because Grace liked it. And if Grace liked it, then automatically like that entire solid tract plane or that solid tract leader or something like that would become the frog because it likes that form. And so does that really mean that the whole idea that the solid tract is a shapeless form that it can transform into anything that it likes? So I'm trying to think about, now this is going into the finale theories, which I'm going to get onto last, but thinking about the solid tract and how it's such of a powerful being and such of a powerful existence of creating a conscious universe, and yet knowing for the fact where it's shapeless and it can choose what it likes to transform in. Maybe if, like, say, since the Doctor abandoned the solid tract in its own world, perhaps maybe the solid tract plans to get back a revenge against the Doctor for leaving the solid tract all on its own without the Doctor. But so the Doctor was saying goodbye to the solid tract, to the conscious universe, or perhaps maybe the solid tract could be, like, say, a villain getting back at Jodie Whittaker, getting back at the Doctor to saying, I want to be with you. I want to be your friend, but you leave me with. I can't say it. But you leave me with no choice. That I am going to take revenge on you. So perhaps maybe that is going to tease into the final episode of series 11. Maybe the solid tract could be at the heart of this entire series. Perhaps the solid tract could be that shapeless form that can transform into any sort of character that the Doctor had encountered upon in this series. So that's my type of theory. That I'm going to get onto a bit more deeper detail, but that's what I really felt about this episode. Like that was again, I felt that this episode had really good moments. It had really good moments of surprises, the character moments, especially with Yaz. Ryan, especially, was fantastic. Yaz, unfortunately, I think another reason why people are slightly not liking Yaz a lot, I think it's the reason that because you don't need pauses or moments where you need to stop and say, hey, there's this other character, there's Yaz, maybe you like her as much as you like Ryan and Graham. But I think in some of those moments where Ryan and Graham, they can work so well, and you don't need any pauses to say, I'm not bored by these characters, But then again, when it comes to Yaz, it's like the whole episode type kind of stops, and then kind of realize, and you kind of forced to watch Yaz and saying like, "Oh, don't forget this character. You remember this character's in Doctor Who as well, by the way." I was like, "Yes, I do know that," but it's like this episode was just kind of forcing Yaz to be literally in every single scene, just pausing for a moment. Then you realize that, oh, Yaz is in this episode. But it's like, I think it's just the whole fact that when Ryan and Graham perform in many different scenes, they don't need breaks, they don't need pauses whatsoever to perform really, really well. But with Yaz, you just need one little pause to say, "Oh, I'm here to do a special moment for this episode." And so that kind of just gives me a slightly uneasy feeling about Yaz. And I don't mind Yaz, I like her, but in terms of what she brings to the TARDIS team, it's like you have to pause for hers, especially because she has trouble being noticed, while Yaz, while Graham and Ryan take care of the episode so well that they don't hardly need any pauses. And so that's what I personally think about the whole TARDIS team. Ryan and Graham are perfect with each other. They're just perfect. And I love the little bit at the end where Ryan calls Graham granddad. I was like, he's actually said granddad. He's actually said granddad. I love that bit. I love that bit. It was just about time too. Like, I was waiting probably throughout all this series for once could Ryan actually call Graham granddad? And like Graham, and then Graham was like, "What did you just say?" Come on, I don't want to talk about the whole granddad, but I just felt it was a real heart touching moment of calling Graham granddad. That was a real good moment. I mean, it definitely expressed more about both of them on this incredible journey with the Doctor, and to have that little bit at the end of the episode where I was expecting a cliffhanger, but unfortunately we didn't get one. Who misses a cliffhanger? I really do miss a cliffhanger. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I don't. The whole idea about a cliffhanger is the whole tension, the surprises, the scares that you're going to expect in the finale. Something to tease up, something so beautifully to go to the finale and think we've got this as the cliffhanger. So I'm now more excited for the finale because I know somebody's returning, because I know something's going to massively happen to the companions, or something major is going to happen. I was literally hoping that there was a cliffhanger. I wanted a cliffhanger so badly. It's like I can't get excited for the finale now because I know for the fact that although a trailer is always quite nice, but you need a cliffhanger to cement this episode as a great episode overall, for something that would automatically tease the whole series to go into the finale with some expectation of somebody returning or something going to happen. I just really wanted the cliffhanger. It just was so essential to go into the finale with some hope, with some type of speculation of what is going to happen. So that's what I had to think about, the whole little bits of not having a cliffhanger and yet some of the missed opportunities. Like those were some of my negatives in this episode. I loved the little bit where Yaz said, "Reverse the polarity." It's like, you speak my language. And yes, of course, third Doctor reference, reverse the polarity of the neutron flow. I mean, I think that might have been another reason why Yaz had to be noticed, because Yaz said that moment. Reverse the polarity. I was like, oh, third Doctor reference. Why? Okay, I can see why she's done that. She wants to be noticed. She wants to get attention. But when when Ryan and Graham have their moments, they don't need pauses. They don't need any sort of like say references to get them attention, because they already get attention for what they're already doing in this episode. So yeah, it definitely feels like a little bit. She feels like an attention seeker. in this episode in a way, just because she wants to have some great moments. I mean, she did have some great moments going with the Doctor into the anti-zone with Graham and helping out Graham realize that it's not Grace at all. But yeah, I definitely felt that this episode had a lot of things to expect. I mean, I knew for the fact that the opposite, the conscious world was going to be dangerous because of how, the whole world was going to collapse because all of our beings of being in this other universe was going to collapse. It was just very too unstable for the whole universe to actually hold on to itself. So the whole universe was going to collapse anyway, even if the Doctor was the last one staying there. But it just had to because although the Solid Trap wanted to be the Doctor's friend, but knew sooner or later that they couldn't really be in there for much longer. So I kind of got the feeling that the whole episode had a real good sense of horror, surprise, shocks, and yet quite some a bit depressing moments, like some of the missed opportunities, like I've spoken there. But I think the whole majority of this episode had a real good vibe to it. And I liked the whole mirror aspect of the anti-zone. And I liked how this episode felt like three different types of worlds connecting together to form one big massive story arc to form together one big massive plot line. And it was like our reality, our real reality. Then we have our anti-zone, our conscious universe slash parallel universe, where it may look the same, but it's slightly a bit different. So I really like that. Let's see what else I've put on. Hmm. Yeah, what else? Yeah, I think the Doctor's presence in this episode definitely had a real good impact. And now I feel a lot more comfortable seeing Jodie Whittaker in the finale because now we know that she's going to be at the center in the entire finale. But I know that she was in the center in this. Like maybe she was like protecting of her companions, like she always is. She's always had a say. She likes to be a bit jokey, a little bit quirky sometimes. I don't think that she was like, say, I don't know. I don't think she was as powerful in this episode as, say, she was in the Witch Hunters. That's my only thing. I like the aggressiveness of the Doctor. I think that when the Doctor was arguing with Graham about this is not Grace, like, hi Grace, yeah, that's not Grace. No offense, Grace. Like, no, taking love, like, you need to go with us right here, right now. Like, seeing there's slightly a little bit of aggressiveness, but then sooner or later, when she made that little speech towards, I think it was Eric's wife, like, say, I've seen it all. I've lost more. I have seen more. Like all those little extra bits kind of felt like she was speaking to herself as I am the Doctor. If you want to know more knowledge, you want to know about my existence, then why don't you show me? And I could be your friend. And I think that was that entire little combination of little quotes like I have seen more, I have lost more, I've experienced more, I know more, and I have the entire existence to tell you. So let these people go, and I can give you the entire existence of what I do. And so I thought that was very, very good from Jodie Whittaker. Some great passion from her. I saw the passion, saw the excitement, especially when she was talking to the frog. Again, the frog really, really not worthy enough of the Doctor Who episode, unfortunately. Bit like the frog in a Doctor Who episode, just not worthy enough. Just that little moment speaking to, like, say, the Solid Trap plane or to the commander, or so could I say, Kermit's cousin, sort of. So no, but she definitely showed a lot more compassion in this episode rather than having aggression, which sometimes the Doctor doesn't always like being aggressive, but especially like moments like in Kablam and even in the Witch Hunters, she was pretty much sensational. But I think that in this episode, she was slightly toned down in aggressive tones, but definitely showed a bit more passion and a bit more caring and condolence to everything around her. I mean, she was saying that this is a mad but incredible and beautiful world that I haven't even touched the surface on. And most of her speeches and most of her dialogue was just so beautiful to listen to. And she was just at most fantastic in this episode. I really did like her performance. I thought that it was a slightly different performance that we've seen before, slightly more compassionate and slightly more caring, and yet slightly less toned down in aggressiveness, which felt was really different. But also to get a different viewpoint of Jodie Whittaker, as she's a doctor that has different moments where she can be aggressive, she can become very, very serious, but yet sometimes be very quirky and energetic, but then sometimes be very compassionate for the world that she revolves around herself. And I really, really like that. And so, yeah, let's see what else did I miss. I did mention about the cliffhanger. Like, what would have been nice as a cliffhanger? I'm just trying to think of a cliffhanger. Like, if the Solid Tract did say, like, all right, maybe you, like, maybe at the very, very end, like, maybe since, like, maybe to the point where Jodie Whittaker was saying goodbye to the conscious universe, saying goodbye to the frog, and maybe when you had that 1 or 2 seconds of the frogs just sitting there, maybe the frog could just say to itself, "I forgive you, Doctor, but there is somebody coming." That would have been amazing if the frog just said, "All right, Doctor, you win, but somebody will be coming after you." Like literally just saying that, that would really tease an entire like that would felt more like a cliffhanger. That one little word there, that entire little sentence, that would really increase an intensified cliffhanger to the end of the episode. Or maybe if Graham went inside the TARDIS, and maybe if the TARDIS just disappeared, then maybe somebody could be like hiding behind one of the trees, and then looking like towards the TARDIS, like, and then suddenly just walks away probably or disappears. Maybe it's probably like a suspicious figure just standing there watching the TARDIS go by, like, "I see you, Doctor, and I'm coming for you." That would be really good. Teasing the finale really well. I mean, everyone would have been a whole lot more excited for the finale if we had a cliffhanger. Wouldn't you all agree, everyone? I think that would have been a whole lot better if we did have a cliffhanger and we did have Omega in this episode, and if we did have the Weeping Angels in that type of dark slash misty type eerie type atmosphere. That would have made probably the best penultimate episode ever. But unfortunately, we just didn't get that. We kind of got a few missed opportunities, just bits where you could have done better. You could have brought a returning character or characters, Omega or the Weeping Angels, would have made this episode a whole lot better. Or maybe if Omega was like saying to the Doctor or something like that, like, "You may be here, Doctor, but somebody's coming. The battle is coming." Like teasing the next episode, which I think the name of the final episode is the Battle of Raxacoglu. No, it's not wrong. It's definitely not Raxacoglu Falabatorius. That can't be it. No, no, no. It's something like the Battle of Ragnar Alvacaro. That's the best I can do, people. In terms of what I can pronounce of that title, that's the best I can do. Yeah. For the plotline was brilliant, quite unusual and quite fascinating at the same time. Firstly, I was just baffled by the entire plotline, but then sooner or later, with subtitles, I kind of got the feeling that this episode was supposed to be weird, supposed to be creepy, supposed to be having sci-fi elements and some horror modes, which it did. It was unlike, say, any modern Doctor Who episode. It felt like a classic Doctor Who episode where you had moments of horror, moments of sci-fi, moments of brilliant plot twists, and other bits around great character moments as well. And I thought that the performances from the Doctor were just great and, fantastic. Phil Graham was absolutely sensational from start to finish, with his performance at the beginning towards the end where he was saying goodbye to Grace, saying, "You're not real, you're fake." and just remembering Grace, at the very end, that was really, really special. We had Ryan coping with Hannah. They had really good moments. I felt Hannah, as a character, as a standalone character, was really good. Even if she did have that little bit of disability of being blind, she coped really well, being very intelligent and seeing stuff that wouldn't usually be in her view. Like even to the point where Ryan was saying, "Oh, that's a conservatory." That's not a map. That's something that she's written on the wall. And then it was like, that was. I mean, I was like trying to think, what was the whole point about that writing on the wall? And then sooner or later, when the episode pretty much soon ended, the dad had a little look on the board and said, "Assume her dad is dead, and then soon to take care of her." I was like, maybe that's giving the dad a little bit more. How can I put it? Self-caring for his child. Like that would give the parent, the dad, a whole lot more reason to look after her daughter. So I kind of thought that at the beginning, he deliberately scared her to keep her inside, which I thought that was really bad parenting. But I kind of felt sorry because that dad, I think, could have protected her child slightly better, but in a different type of context. And I thought that little message on the board of the attic was a really nice touch, just to give that parent a little bit of something to hang on to and to really take care of her, to become a real good parent. And I thought that was really good of the doctor, just teasing that there towards the end when the dad finally comes back or something like that. I thought that was really good. And so, yes, I think that's pretty much it for this episode. And like I said, Yaz didn't really have much to do. She had little bits here and there. She was understanding the whole bit really well. I thought she was good. I thought Graham overall was just sensational. And I thought that this episode just felt really weird and bizarre. And it just really baffled me at first. But then sooner or later, after about 3 rewatches, I had such enjoyment with this episode. It was like for one from one penultimate episode, where penultimate episodes were honestly in every single series, the penultimate episodes are supposed to be the best episodes that you can guarantee for any series. But knowing that we had a new doctor and a new showrunner, were we going to get that same hype and excitement from those penultimate episodes? My answer is no. We didn't actually get the same vibe that we got, like this was the best episode ever. But it was somewhere close. It was like a lower bog standard penultimate episode. I've got to admit that Hellbent, World Enough and Time are 2 of the best penultimate episodes that you will get, as well as with the Big Bang as well, and with Stolen Earth, and with the Sound of the Drums, and with the Army of Ghosts, and with Bad Wolf. Maybe not with the Wedding of River Song, no. Let's just leave that out. I think that was a finale, wasn't that a finale? So yeah, what was the penultimate episode of series 6? Oh yeah, that was it. Closing Time. Closing Time just wasn't good at all. Just thought it was just boring. James Corden was alright, but like I said, I think in terms of penultimate episodes, this episode feels like, how can I put it on scale with penultimate episodes? I feel like that this episode feels like the penultimate episode in series 8, Dark Water. That's the closest that I'll say that this episode kind of felt like. Didn't really tease up much, but it definitely had a really great sci-fi and horror vibe and a quite atmospheric and misty vibe within the Norwegian type setting. And I thought the shots looked really good. The music was fantastic. And yeah, I thought the writer had a good go. It's his first time writing Doctor Who, and although you can't really say, like, I don't know, I think in terms of different writers that aren't Chris Chibnall, like that's the last of the guest writers that we're gonna get now. The final episode is going to be written by Chris Chibnall. I literally hope that Chris Chibnall performs or writes that finale to pinpoint perfection, because I don't really want to be picking out any bits that I didn't like about that episode. I would really just honestly say if Chris Chibnall just smashes the finale, then that would be a fantastic series to completely finish off series 11. That would be fantastic. But in terms of guest writers for this series, For episode 6, episode 7, episode 8, and episode 9, those 4 episodes of guest writers have really impressed me. They have really impressed me so much. I mean, I've got to congratulate all of the guest writers for having a go on Doctor Who. For writers, they've not even written a single Doctor Who episode. I want to congratulate every single writer for doing episode 6, episode 7, episode 8, and episode 9 for delivering some of the best episodes that we've got in Series 11. Thank you for doing those episodes, because I really enjoyed watching those episodes. As well as with this episode, Ed Heim did a really good job with his first episode of Doctor Who. So you can't really say that, all of these guest writers aren't going to do a really great job. But they did. They surprised me with their elements, their ideas, and their approach to story writing. I just was really intrigued by this episode, especially because it was like a weird concept of having a conscious universe, and balancing that it was like the perfect moment to touch upon, because we haven't had most, interaction with a conscious universe, such a parallel universe with an anti-zone, like an antimatter zone. I was really glad that we touched upon that and learned a bit more about the solid track, and learned about a bit more about the laws of time, and knowing about what the anti-zone or the antimatter zone kind of felt more like the void. And the reason why I say it's like the void, it reminded me of in Army of Ghosts. The Doctor said that it's a void ship, of where, like I said, the Daleks emerged from the little bowl sphere. I was literally thinking, hang on, so like it's an existence that exists outside time and space, and so this must be the little black bit. So you've got our world, then you've got the parallel slash conscious universe, and then you've got this bit in between. And I think it's either called the void or the anti-zone or the antimatter zone. So either which way you call it, this space was just threatened with so much danger. And I automatically knew that no matter if there were 2 different worlds, there had to be a world in between where it was dark, eerie, atmospheric, horror aspects, sci-fi elements. It just perfectly ticked all the boxes. Just would have been nice if we did get the Weeping Angels in that, type of setting. Would have made up a phenomenal episode, along as well as we had Omega instead of that stupid, pathetic frog as the leader or as the emperor of the solid track plane. That would just be ridiculous. But no, Omega would have suited this episode a whole lot better. And I would have loved to see him return, honestly. I really would have liked to see him return. And so, yes, my overall rating for this episode is I want to say that I liked it. I enjoyed it. Not necessarily I loved it. Just so many missed opportunities that they could have made this episode so much better. But with the things that they did, I kind of liked it. So I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. Please let me know, what did you think about this episode in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like this review, share, and subscribe for more Doctor Who content. And as my final theories for the finale, I just want to say that I hope that the finale is going to be probably the most jam-packed action, full of intensity, full of excitement. I just really want this entire finale to succeed to perfection. There's going to be so much action. There's going to be so much war. Now I can't wait to see how the Doctor, Ryan, Graham, and Yaz fit in with this type of war type setting. And knowing about the Next Time trailer, I found out some really strange little bits. I want to say that, like, my final thoughts, that when the Next Time trailer of the finale came around, there was a voice saying, "You gave me my destiny." And I was like thinking, "You gave me my destiny?" It's like thinking, are they speaking to the Doctor? It's like, "You gave me my destiny." And I'm trying to think. I recognize the voice. I recognize the voice of some character that we've seen in this series. the Stenza. I think the Stenza might return. It sounds similar to Tim Shaw's voice, like we saw in episode 1. And it kind of gives me feelings that all of the other villains that we've got in Series 11 might return for this particular episode. And then I had a look at a separate trailer as well, leading into the finale. And then there was something like, I know that voice. The Doctor said, I know that voice. I'm just wondering, what voice does the Doctor recognize? What type of voice could it be? Could it be a surprising character return? That's what I'm thinking. Something or someone might be returning in the series finale. I'm just thinking, who could it be? Because it sounds like a female voice. So who could it be? Some people say it could be Susan. Could it be Missy? Or could it be somebody else that we've hardly touched upon? Could it be a character that is relatively new, but could have had an entire similar type familiar backstory to like one or two characters? Like it could be another female version of the Master, or could be something else that we haven't even touched upon. So I'm really excited. I think at the very end of the episode, there has to be somebody. There has to be somebody returning. Because if there isn't, then it's just gonna feel like that. Who is that new character? There must be somebody, there must be one character in the finale that the Doctor has recognized, and we must know who that character is. For sure. It has to be a surprising character or not. It has to be a returning character that we probably might know or might not. I'm really looking forward to the series finale. I'm thinking that if Christian Milk can land a perfect 10 out of 10 finale to completely finalize series 11, I would be more than happy to say that series 11 has been a really great accomplishment. Some people on Twitter and Facebook are saying that this series isn't just great, isn't fantastic, isn't outstanding, isn't new and refreshing that we thought it was going to be. I mean, that's what people kind of think nowadays. Like, some people think that the series is going so well. Some people are a bit unsure. And then some people are just not taking this episode really well. So I just don't know what people think about, Series 11 now. Whether they like it or don't like it. But, I mean, do you honestly want Doctor Who to get cancelled? Do you really want this whole show to go downhill? Would you really like that? So I would literally just say, have faith. Have faith in Doctor Who, because some of the episodes we've had this series have been phenomenal. And I've enjoyed Series 11. I've really enjoyed Series 11, I must admit. There's not been one episode that has just downed disappointment for me. Not one single episode. Well, apart from the Saranja Conundrum and maybe this episode, but that's been a bit too harsh. But all of the other episodes, though, I've pretty much rated them like solid 9 out of 10s. Like, they've been amazing. Only one or two that have just been 10 out of 10s, and that's it. So let's just hope that this finale could be the most epic finale that we could ever get with Jodie Whittaker. And yet all we know for a fact that none of the companions are going to die because they're going to be in the New Year's special. But what's going to happen, though, in the finale? There's going to be a lot of running. There's going to be a lot of action. There's going to be a lot of war. There's going to be a lot of blood. So you never know what could happen. I have a feeling that this episode could be sensational, or it could be another missed opportunity like this episode. Like, you could have so many different villains could have been in this situation, and they could have made the episode so much better. Like the Weeping Angels, like Omega. That would have made this episode go to a 10 out of 10. That's my personal opinion, though. I'm interested to hear all your opinions of Doctor Who Series 11 so far, and I would love to hear your theories and your opinions for the series finale. Don't forget to like, share, and comment down below. What did you think of this episode entirely? And I will see you all next time for the series finale. I can't believe we're almost at the finale. Just 6 days away. 6 bloody days away. 6 days away until we get the series finale. I don't want this to end. I really do not want this to end. But then again, I need like I mean, the only reason why I'm just not excited, like super, super, super highly for the finale, I just needed that one cliffhanger right at the very end. It needed a cliffhanger more than anything to make me more excited than ever before to get excited about Doctor Who for a finale like this. It needed a cliffhanger to really get ourselves into the mood that we know that somebody's returning. We know somebody's going to be showing up. Is it going to be the Stanza? Is it going to be the Remnants? Is it going to be a surprising returning character? Who knows? But please comment down below your entire opinions, and I will see you all next time for my live stream review on episode 10 of Doctor Who Series 11, The Battle of Ragsakura. It's not Rascal Albertoris, it's the Battle of Ragnar Alvo Calero. I can't. Again, why do Series 11 make titles so goddamn confusing? Oh my god, I just really don't know how to pronounce this episode. It's gonna be weird. It's gonna be so weird trying to pronounce this episode, but I really cannot wait for this finale. 6 more days away. Do not miss the series finale of Doctor Who Series 11. Don't know what time we'll be on. Sunday, probably at an earlier time, maybe 6:30 or 7 o'clock. Who knows? But I really hope all of you guys do not miss the series finale. I just hope I don't miss it. I really just hope I do not miss it. I wish I have Sunday off to watch the series finale. I really wish I do. I just really hope I do. I really hope. Because I don't want to go into work and just happen to miss everything about the finale. I wish that just doesn't happen this time around. I'll just have to wait and see though. But anyway, thanks so much everyone for watching for my live stream review on episode 9 of Doctor Who Series 11. It Takes You Away. 8.5 out of 10 seems to be a fair rating. But what would you rate it out of 10? Anyway, guys, I'm going to get off. I'm going to see you guys later for my live stream review on the Series 11 finale. Again, not going to pronounce the title because I don't have the time. I just can't be asked. Oh. And then maybe, I'm just trying to think, when am I ever going to do my over review of this series? Here's my theory. I ever want to do a live stream like this, telling you all my overall theories and my overall thoughts on what Series 11 has achieved. Has Series 11 has been a success, or should I go back to my usual picture formatted videos? Should I go back to them? Maybe I'll do that. I'll do that for a change, but there'll be my final live stream review on episode 10 of Doctor Who Series 11, the series finale. So make sure you stick around for that. Stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys next time for the Series 11 finale. Take care, everyone, and have a good one. Goodbye.